My pop magazine is called Burst. The pop magazine that I've pastiched is Wheel of Pop. This is because it targets the same target audience. The target audience and subculture for my magazine are tweens. The average age is 13 and it is mainly aimed at girls. They are aged between 10 and 14 because this is stereotypical age. The subculture Dick Hebdige 1979 is tweens. When making my pop magazine, I've mainly followed the conventions of the magazine Wheel of Pop to make it look realistic. I've used this front cover to pastiche. The layout of my magazine is the exact same because it worked better than my flat panel layout. However, I've changed some aspects. The colours that I have used were mainly used on pop magazines to appeal to the target audience. I've made some of the colours brighter because on the one that I've pastiched, they mainly use bold, vibrant colours to attract the audience's attention. This is stereotypical because the pinks are associated with girls, and my target audience is mainly aimed at girls. But I also have some neutral colours, such as blue, in the magazine for it to appeal to boys too. The shapes that are on mine are also similar to the Wheel of Pop magazine. However, because my magazine is called Burst, I've developed it into a paint splat for the target audience because it represents the burst. This is to create a preferred meaning to connote that the magazine is fun and bursting with excitement. I have challenged the shapes on my magazine from the ones that are on Wheel of Pop because I think it makes them bolder and easier to recognise. The text of my shape is Century Gothic because it is a sans serif, which is commonly used on pop magazines. I've used this inspiration from the Wheel of Pop to draw a bolder box underneath the main heading because it attracts the reader's attention. I have used a darker pink on this because it is easier to recognise, and also it has a better colour contrast with the yellow. The main cover line is in the same as the one in the Wheel of Pop because it is bold and it is anchored by the main cover image, Roland Barthes 1979. I have used a black drop shadow for it to stand out. Originally it was the yellow, however this didn't make it stand out, so I developed it into a black because it worked better against the background. Underneath I have used darker pink because the Wheel of Pop magazine used a bold colour, but theirs was the main one that runs throughout the front cover. I have changed this because I think it makes it stand out more. This is the model that I have used for the front cover. I've used her because when researching pop magazines, they stereotypically have girls as the main cover image, so I've pastiched this one to make it look realistic. However, on the magazine that I've pastiched, the girl was posing with her finger over her lip. I didn't think that this suited my magazine because the star isn't well known and Rihanna is commonly known to be outgoing and wild. Therefore, I looked at this Top of the Pops magazine for the main cover image. The shot type was a medium close-up and the girl posed by turning to the left, but still looking forward to create a slight angle. She also has direct gaze with the reader which interacts with them. The other images are posters on there and also mainly girls because the target audience, which is mainly aimed at girls, will see them as an ideal self, Carl Rogers 1980, but there is a range of boys and girls to target both genders and to attract a larger audience. The banner at the bottom of the page was pastiche from Wheel of Pop and Top of the Pops. The main line for the banner was Wheel of Pop magazine because this was the main magazine that I was looking at, but the squares that make it look like a film strip was pastiche from the Top of the Pops masthead. This created a preferred meaning of stardom and an exclusive. The circle at the side was pastiche from Wheel of Pop. On the Wheel of Pop magazine they had fashion, but I used it for an advertisement for a free download from iTunes. This is because I think it would attract the target audience. For my contents page I've pastiched this Wheel of Pop magazine. I've used the same colour scheme throughout it so that it's consistent. However, the blue is a darker shade because I feel that this is more appealing. I've also used this blue on the double page spread so that it is consistent. The shapes that are on the contents page are also the same. I've used the paint splats as the page numbers with the same font that is on my masthead. The colours are consistent throughout the contents, including the dark pink and yellow for the main headline and the typical black for underneath for extra content. This challenges the Wheel of Pop magazine because they only use black for the contents, so that it is easy to read. However, I think that this makes the contents brighter and vibrant, and it's still easy to read. The font for the contents is Century Gothic again because it is easy to read and it suits the target audience because this is a sans serif. This is stereotypical because they use sans serifs in pop magazines, and they are easy to read, which is good because my target audience are younger. aged between 10 and 14. The layout of the contents page is the same as the Wheel of Pop, but I've changed some aspects. I've changed the main article image, which is inside a circle on my magazine, and a square on the Wheel of Pop. This is because I want to keep the shapes consistent throughout all 4 pages, and they are similar to the paint splat shapes. There are also 2 columns in the contents, because I pastiche the Wheel of Pop layout. I've developed this so that the circles show continuity from the front cover. I think that this works better because it stands out more from the normal square images, and it links with the shapes of the splats. I have developed and challenged the column from the other articles so that it uses a film strip from the front page on the side, because I think this works well. The editor's letter was pastiched from Wheel of Pop, and the font is the same so it looks professional. This is a serif, which is stereotypical. The other article column layout is pastiched from Wheel of Pop as well. Some of the models that are on the front cover are also on the contents page, which is the same as the other magazines, but the target audience will want to know which page their article is on. Also, they might see another article that interests them. For the main article image, I have used a star that isn't on the front cover because the target audience will want to read out from different pop stars. Also, all of the shot types are a medium close-up, which is stereotypical, and they are either smiling or posing. They will all be an ideal self or an ideal partner, Carl Rogers 1980. Underneath the images, I have used the same colours from the contents for the exclusive, which is the dark pink, because it shows consistency, and there are also pull quotes, because this gives the target audience an insight to what the interview is about. I have pastiched this from Wheel of Pop. One thing that challenged the conventions of my contents page is the colour scheme. Most pop contents pages only use 3 main colours. However, I have used more, but I think this makes it more vibrant and makes the page look more fun. I don't think that this makes it overpowering because some of the colours are the same but different shades, and the colour scheme is the same throughout all 4 pages, so it all ties in with each other. Originally, the layout of the contents page was different, but my flat plan draft wasn't realistic, therefore I pastiched this Wheel of Pop to make it look realistic, and this would reflect my front cover, because I've also pastiched a Wheel of Pop magazine for that one. The contents is pastiched from the masthead, and the front is the same so it is consistent. I've filled in the O because this is stereotypical on the Wheel of Pop, and it also shows continuity of the circles throughout. In the top corner are also the masthead and the issue date. This is because it makes the magazine look professional, and this is stereotypical because they have it in majority of magazines. There's the website at the bottom of the page because when researching I found out that they had this on every page, and it cross-promotes in order to create synergy. The page numbers on the contents are the exact same style as my masthead. I've used this one for the paint spots to create a preferred meaning, Carl Rogers 1980, with the same font to show consistency. They also use the same pink in the masthead so that it ties in with the house style. For my double page spread, I have pastiched this one from Wheel of Pop. The reason I chose this one is because I thought that the layout was exciting and unusual compared to most double page spreads. I have used the darker pink for the main colour because it is vibrant and eye-catching. This is stereotypical because the page that I pastiched was a bright yellow to attract the reader's attention. The main cover image is the same girl who is on the front cover because this interview is an exclusive. There's a pull quote over the main cover image that tells the reader what the interview is about, and it makes the page look more exciting. This is in a blue circle, again continuing the circle theme, and I've developed it so that the opacity is 70%, so it is slightly transparent, which adds depth. Furthermore, part of the pink arrow is slightly transparent, which I love because it overlaps onto the main cover image and also makes it look more professional. The font that are on the pull quote is New Times Roman, which is a serif. This is stereotypical because the one that I pastiche uses a serif, because it contrasts against the sans serif font that runs throughout the double page spread, therefore drawing audience attention to it. The model is an ideal self or an ideal partner, but because my pop magazine is mainly aimed at girls, she will probably be an ideal self, Carl Rogers 1980. The pose is a medium close-up because they use it in most interviews, and also it takes up the majority of the page so that the star is easily recognisable. The girl is wearing pink and a denim shirt. I dressed her up purposefully because the pink is stereotypically associated with pop, and a lot of pop stars wear denim. Also, I lightened the girl's hair so that it was blonder because this made her look more stereotypically pops. The other colours that I have used include blue, which is on the contents page. On these two pages I have followed the conventions of a pop magazine because I have used three main colours, which are pink, blue and white, so that the page is still bold and fun but isn't overpowering. I think that this makes it more realistic and professional. For the fonts I have used Century Gothic for the Jade Smith and the lead paragraph so that it stands out and is bolder than the body text for the interview because it shows consistency. For the body text I have used Arial because it is easy to read, and they use it in most pop magazines because it is a sans serif. The questions for the interview were in Arial as well, but they were bold and blue so that they stood out, and it splits up the text so that it didn't seem like there was as much to suit my target audience because they are younger, aged between 10 and 14. This is stereotypical. I've used Sergo print for the Scriptlight font because it contrasts against the other sans serif fonts, and this was what I used for the one that I pastiched. I wanted to carry on the circle theme throughout, and on the double page spread from Wheel of Pop that I was copying, they used circles so that it linked in and made my contents page consistent. The shapes are consistent, and in the corner of the magazine is the masthead, which I pastiched from Wheel of Pop. The language that is in the interview is informal and chatty. This is stereotypical because the target audience is younger, aged between 10 and 14, so that they will relate to it more, and they will want to read it. On the double page spread, the website is on 3 times. This is because it cross-promotes in order to create synergy. On the website is the paint spot because it is bolder, so that the target audience might notice it more. In the top corner is the masthead. This was used on the one that I pastiched, and also it shows consistency. The design of the arrow on the page connotes "look at me", and this shows how big the star is going to be from her interview. This also shows the attention to the pop star. The slug is in the top left hand corner. This tells the audience the double page spread is an interview and it is an exclusive.